everyone. How are you doing? My name is Brigida Toruño, and welcome to Uno Soul's Chat. As we are all adjusting to this greatly changed societal situation, I've been called to chat with Uno Souls, and they are people that are beacons of light in our community. They were beacons of light before COVID-19, and they continue to be just that. We want to connect all of us together in hope, courage, and love. I am honored today to be chatting with Nikki Daruwala, an Uno Soul. She is the Executive Director of the Loudoun Literacy Council. Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you, Brigida. It's such an honor to be on your show. Been following it, and I love the guests that you have and the energy that you're bringing to this situation that we're all in.
Oh, thank you so much, Nikki. I'm so glad to be chatting with you today. Tell me, how have you been doing during these pandemic times? How have you been coping?
So for me, it has mostly been about, doing what I was doing, only, we've been using that word pivot a lot. So
Yeah.
I've continued to stay with the things that excite me and energize me, but with a little bit of a pivot. So for example, my husband and I, we love lectures, and we've gone to lecture series given by professors that we've got lots of wonderful universities around here, but now we're doing it online. We like concert
Oh.
series, we're doing it online.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, which concert series?
So we actually follow some local musicians, and we also follow a music group out of national National Harbor area. And so they have live music, and you can make requests and things like that. So we're regulars on that.
Wonderful, great idea.
It creates a community. So
Very nice.
with that, and I'm also a foodie.
Oh.
So food is really important.
Ah.
And so these days I've noticed that I'm having more comfort food. So, a lot of the Indian food, a lot of the food that I grew up with, I just started, I don't cook too much, but
Yeah.
I've started cooking and making things that I like. I pulled out my grandmother's cookbook, and I tried a couple of recipes, my mom's recipes, things like that, that just give you that little bit of comfort. My mother-in-law was a very good cook too, and had some of hers. And in fact, my husband and I made her famous spaghetti sauce, and doing things that make us, like that inner happiness. However, we can sort of seek it out.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a really good point. I think that's partly what has come to all of us, as we're all in this together, is finding that comfort, just exactly that, and whatever that means to everybody, and I think food is a big one. I think you're right. What part of India is your family from?
So we are from the West Coast, and
Okay.
so in Bombay, India. So that's where I grew up. And so it's a more cosmopolitan area, but we've got so much comfort food. We've got a lot of seafood. So I've been trying and having a lot of that. Just enjoying things that, I grew up with. And we've got so many good restaurants out here that, it's not just that. I've also been enjoying trying different foods that I would have normally otherwise not have tried.
That's right.
Bringing in food, it's that, I've given myself that permission to, what I want to do, what I don't have to do, and what I can put off and say, nah, I'm not going to do that, or this, you've got to give yourself that permission to do that.
Yeah, it's to be gentle with yourself and kind with yourself, and the nurturing, right? The self-nurturing and self-care is so important.
Yeah. To me, great. I feel like to me sometimes it's like that, going into that candy store and saying, oh, I like this, but no, licorice I don't like, so I'm not gonna, it's like
Yeah.
you pick and choose what you want to do and
Yeah.
what's going to give you, whatever that comfort is that you're seeking at that time. My
Yeah.
husband always says, Nikki, you just do you. It's like just be your authentic self, just go do what you want. And that's so true. I mean, we've been doing that a lot, it's like just do you, whatever that is.
So I've been finding the same thing. And my grandmother, my mother was from Ecuador.
Yeah.
And so my grandmother did the cooking when I was growing up. So I grew up with that Ecuadorian food, which is, to me, it is very much comfort food. And a lot of it involved potatoes, because they were from the valley area of Ecuador. So there was lots of potato dishes and like potato soup and things like that.
Right.
But there's this one dish that's called japingachos, which is basically like mashing the potatoes and then putting cheese inside and frying them. So you can't really go wrong with it.
Nice.
And I had never made it for some reason. And so during this time, I started making it. And when I was in North Carolina visiting my son, and up here with my daughter, and all the grandbabies love it, and they're like asking for more. And I'm like, oh, if I had known this.
Yeah. Cool. And that's something that it's easy to put together, right?
It is. I should even have, and I should have them help me too, because it's definitely a something you can make with little kids,
Yeah. The one of the highlights of COVID for us, one gleaming, sparkle, has been that both our daughters came home during COVID, and they both love to cook. And so they were cooking for us, and they were making all kinds of different things, and so it was really nice. And just having them around was also very, very comforting. And it's nice that we're a small knit family, that they came home and they felt like they wanted to be with us.
Yeah.
And so, again, food brings us, I tell you, our kitchen is the place to be. I think that's the same in most houses, I think.
It is.
Where everybody sort of comes together. And
yeah. But what a gift that they came home and you got to spend some time with them again, right? Because that just doesn't often happen under the normal situation.
Yeah, we thought we were empty nesters, and so they're out, they're done, they're gone,
Yeah.
And we came back, and for us, it was that feeling that that they feel so strongly with the family unit that they wanted to be with us, and that was so sweet.
That's very special. That's great. Well, Nikki, you are the executive director of the Loudoun Literacy Council, which holds a very special place in my heart. I am lucky to be working with you as the chair on the board, but just the whole concept of it is dear to my heart, because my parents were immigrants, as you know, from Argentina and Ecuador, and they met in a place called the Americanization School, which was like a Loudoun Literacy Council, but in a building.
Right.
And that's where they went to learn English and to learn about the culture and so forth. So I'm just honored to be part of the organization, and I just admire you so much. I mean, I just think you're a star in the world of nonprofits. You have so much wisdom and experience. So I feel so fortunate to know you and to be working with you.
Oh no, I see, this is the mutual admiration club, because I feel like I have this awesome privilege of working for Loudoun Literacy Council, which is really, one of the oldest literacy organizations in Loudoun. We've been celebrating 40 years this year. Wow. And then I get to work with a fabulous team. My team is just above and beyond amazing. They're very dedicated staff. We've got a fantastic board led by our fearless leader, that's you. and just really, you and the board and the staff is what, and our volunteers. We've got almost 500 people who volunteer their time to, and their heart, they put their hearts into it. And it's not easy what a lot of our volunteers do. It's teaching, and preparation and hours of service and dedication. And it's just wonderful to be able to be part of like that community that provides the services that are very, very much needed. Like you're saying, what your family went through and needed, and there's so many others in Loudoun who need that kind of service. There's,
That's right.
I think we've talked about this quite often. There's 32,000 people in Loudoun who say they don't speak English.
Wow.
And that's a big number.
It is.
And with everything that we're doing, we're currently just reaching about 2,440. So you can imagine what that gap is that we're still trying to reach and make up and provide services for. And, even being in what's deemed as, and labeled as one of the richest counties in the country, we still have about 11% of the residents are low income.
Yes.
And then when you look at the children in those low income families, 61% say that they don't have books. I mean, that's the basis. I mean, literacy, and it's not just the skill of being able to, talk to your doctor or move around in the community, converse with your neighbors, or understand what's going on with your child in school. All of those things are very, very necessary. But it's just the idea of what it does for you in the future, your advancement, the doors that literacy can open for you is so vast, so important. It's just it's so critical. We say it's like a human right. It's the most critical step in terms of your future success.
That's right. Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's just foundational, right? It's just what sets the foundation for the stepping stones of moving through life in a I want to say in a healthy way,
Yeah, because I mean, they've done so many studies, and the studies also have shown that books are the single most influential, I guess what they call it, like a factor in terms of a child's early education success. And of course, all future success based on that early education success.
I love that. The books are the fundamental. Yeah, the fundamental step. Yeah, wow. That's amazing. But I'd love to know, Nikki, tell us about how Loudoun Literacy has had to pivot, to adjust to these new pandemic days.
I tell you, that's what we call that perfect storm. It's like the demand grows higher and higher, the need goes higher and higher, and the funding suddenly starts, stagnating, decreasing. But I have to tell you, some of our funders have just stepped up and are helping the community. And what's really, really important to talk about is how, it's our community of nonprofits, or what I call social profit organizations, have really stepped up in terms of helping each other. We are there for each other and supporting each other, and our clients sort of sometimes overlap. The needs are prevalent, and we've all been sort of geared up to be helping. So it's not just one organization or another. It's like the collective, all of Loudoun, in service to all of Loudoun. And that's just been really, really important to note. But from Loudoun Literacy Council's perspective, last year we distributed about 15,000 books to children. We
Wow.
were talking about books being important.
Yes.
Just through the pandemic, we've already distributed about 10,000 books. So
Wow.
we've increased that substantially because children are home. The libraries were shut down, the schools were shut down. Children need to be able to read. Children need to continue to be able to do that. So we did that. Then we did our Read Across Loudoun, which you were part of.
Right, that was a lovely campaign, so impactful.
Yeah, so many. We had about 58 people in Loudoun, policymakers, business leaders like yourself, teachers, principals, all children. They all got together and everybody, picked up a book and read on video. It was on our Facebook page. We put it out there. We shared it in video form with our students. A huge number of views and reads. It's like more than 200,000. I forget.
That was amazing, amazing reach.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and all because it was like that calling, and we had no idea, Bridget, really, we really had no idea it would just flourish and bloom like that. We had never thought maybe we'll have a few people read, and maybe we'll put out a video here, a video.
Right.
And it was just, everybody wanted to, which goes to show how much big hearts everybody has, right?
That's right.
Wanted to do little something that they could do.
Right. Yeah. I think that was still towards the beginning of the pandemic, and I think it felt like, okay, this is a little something that I can do for the children in this community, and I think that's really where the heart comes in. When you think of the difficult times that the children were having, and to have a little bit of entertainment of having a book read to you. And plus it was in several languages, right?
It was. I mean, you read in Spanish. We had Hindi, Urdu, American Sign Language, Swahili, you name it. And then people dressed up in costumes.
That's right.
People were outside in the field with sheep, and it was just, and people had their stuffed animals. People had their pets.
And some people were playing, right? Some musicians.
Of course, the musicians, they did Pete the Cat, which is like the favorite book of our Head Start step kids. They just love Pete the Cat, and they did 2 of those books for them. They were so popular. Yeah.
So that was wonderful.
We had another a reader who sang parts of her book, and so it was just wonderful. It was really, really nice. Yeah, and then for our adults, for our adults, we did the pivot, which is move all of our in-person classes to online. So we did, and I tell you, through this whole thing, I've been learning, and our staff has been learning new lingo and language that goes with all of this. So we had the synchronous learning, which is the online classrooms, which are like the regular classrooms where they are, except it's online, and you can interact with each other and talk, kind of like how we're doing. So there was that. So we have those classes. Then what we did was we had asynchronous also, which is our teachers put a lot of their information and classes, and we put it down on a thumb drive, and we distributed that to our to a number of our students, our clients. Now, some of them were able to use it with their computers. Others, we provided it to them through different means. They all have, about 90% of our students all have smartphones. So we were able to get them the videos in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, good.
And then, so they were able to see it. And these were like little, what we called ESOLs, which were little mini lessons. They were English short online lessons. And so it's like that learning that you can do at your own pace. you know. So for example, you can learn opposites or, you know, relational words or, you know, different greetings or things like that. So, so that was the asynchronous piece of it. And then what we did was we also provided, you know, self-paced learning and self-learning, which was more along the lines of, we gave them exercises and we gave them, you know, materials that they could then use on their own and learn. So we tried to, through a variety of different, you know, methods, continue to teach and continue to reach out to our adult learners as well.
Great, great. Yeah, very important. I know that that we have a program to help the parents that are Spanish speaking to understand how to interact with the school, right? How to have the right terminology or how to use the right technology. How is that going?
So that's known as our school success program, and it stems from the part that, you know, a parent's literacy level also has a strong determination, especially a mother's has a strong determination on a child's success in school. So, you know, and especially now, when we're seeing parents trying to teach their child at, you know, when there was homeschooling happening, you know,
Right.
the school, and they have to help them learn at school, it became really evident that people really needed to know what was happening and to be able to engage, and also engage with the school administration. You
Yeah.
know, do I do synchronous? Do I sign up for in-person classes? What does it mean? You know, what are my options as a parent for my child to come in and or to learn remotely? And how do I get this? And how do I do that? So our program is specifically designed to help the parents navigate that school system. Everything from, you know, we actually spend 3 sessions on just parent teacher conferences, you know, building up that that confidence that a parent needs to be able to formulate and ask a question in terms of, how is my child doing? And
That's
when the
right.
teacher responds, be able to say, what does that mean? You know, to be able to understand it, to be able to comprehend what it means.
Yes.
And I think that's, to us, that it was so important. One of the most important things in what Loudoun, you know, I've often said that Loudoun Literacy Council is less in the literacy arena and more in the empowerment arena.
Oh, I love that. I
You
love
know,
that. It's so
right,
true.
right. We are empowering people, whether it's the life skill of talking to your doctor, talking to your child's teacher, or it's the you know, or basic budget, or whatever it is that you're learning towards.
Yeah.
It's that voice.
Yes.
That voice where you can find out, you can speak for yourself, you
Yeah.
can advocate for yourself,
Yeah.
you can speak up. And it's not just for yourself in terms of, you know, your family or your needs or the school or, you know, the doctor. It becomes part of how where we want to take Loudoun. You know, we want people in Loudoun to feel empowered, to
That's
feel
right.
like they're part of the community, to
Yeah.
feel like they belong. And how can you feel all of those things unless you feel like you've got the voice at that table, right?
That's right. And something else that you all have done this summer is put together the Zoom and the Facebook Live in Spanish and English, and I believe in other languages as well. Can you talk to that? Because I just think that's so important, and it goes to this empowerment, right? I mean, the very first one was when parents had to decide, do I want my kids to go virtual or hybrid, you know, stay in the school? It's been such a huge issue throughout the United States about the schools. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was a direct result of COVID in terms of, we found ourselves, having that link to the communities that other organizations and other partners that we work with needed to be in contact with.
Yeah.
And so whether it was census or whether it was parents making school decisions, we have one coming up with Dr. Goodfriend talking about the health, which is, that's so important, so relevant.
So important.
It's
Yes.
going to be English and Spanish.
Yeah.
We've had, so many others. We had census, I think, in a variety of different languages. We included Farsi, Arabic, I believe, and other languages as well. And it was the importance of, it's our responsibility as an organization to make sure the information reaches in the hands of those people who need to make those decisions.
Right.
And so, the Zoom and the Facebook Live, some people attended live, but most people see it at their own time afterwards. And so we have these videos that are now created that are sort of, as one of our staffers says, they're evergreen now, that people can look at it on their time and consult with their families, because sometimes these are family decisions that need to be made, that whole, whether you move to hybrid or have your child, work remotely and school remotely, was one of those questions at that time. Well, a family decision. It's not just the viewer who says, okay, this is what we're going to do. You've got to decide, you've got to incorporate all of those, implications of your work, their work, this, that, safety, all of those kinds of things. So our role and responsibility was making sure that the information got in the right hands through whatever means, whatever methods we can get it out there, and then empower the people who are the viewers to make those decisions for themselves. And that's the role that we saw ourselves. We had never envisioned we'd be doing this, but here we are.
That's amazing. And so last year was the first time that I attended the Not Your Kids Spelling Bee, that sort of the gala of Loudoun Literacy Council, and I loved it. It was, I know it's sad because we can't have it this year. It was so much fun. First of all, it was casual dress, and then it was just fun activities, of getting to spell words, which I'm a kind of a nerd about liking to spell words.
Yeah, and then, be a nerd, so yes.
and trivia, and it was just so much fun. And so sadly, we can't have it this year because of COVID-19. So we have, I think we're looking at some other fun options that we hope people can participate in. Can you talk to us about those?
Board. I tell you, our fabulous board has a fabulous fundraising committee, and kudos to the board and to our fundraising committee for really jumping into gear and saying, what can we do that people enjoy at home? And we have, it's up on our website, and there'll be more information being put out, where we're having game nights, and this is one of those things which you can design it the way you want. You invite your friends, your family. You have a close-knit group. You decide what kind of game you'd like to have, whether it's categories, Pictionary, whatever. Jeopardy. Jeopardy is a popular one, it seems.
Yeah.
and have that. And while you're doing that, you can think about perhaps giving back. And giving to Loudoun Literacy Council and making that part of your group giving. And if you enjoy the games and you enjoy your time together, then you can go to loudounliteracy.org and make a little donation to us as a thank you, or as a support for the kinds of things that we're trying to do in the community.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it's a fabulous idea. And so I have to say that
Didn't you
yeah,
have
so I did one. I did Jeopardy with a group of my girlfriends,
it?
and it was so much fun. I mean, I'm not a big TV watcher, so I mean, I've watched Jeopardy here and there. So I don't think I was exactly like Alex Trebek. I wasn't as good or anything or as
Oh, come
entertaining.
on. Oh, come on.
But it was really fun. And so so there are, you can go in and customize it. There are already games in this particular Jeopardy website that you can pick up other people's questions and answers that they've created, or you can create your own. So I created a category because these friends of mine were big tea drinking people, tea lovers.
Yeah.
So I did a category for tea. And apparently they didn't want to answer my questions because they were too hard.
There you go.
So I have to think about that for next time. But it was really so much fun and really intuitive. I mean, if I can do the technology where you're giving each team, the points that they got or taking off their points, I mean, they really make it easy to do. So that was a lot of fun.
Nice. And you can do it if you're doing it with friends and family. You can have your own category, right? You
That's
can have
right.
your own family, your family category of quirks, and this is the cousin that does this,
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I would love for people to go to the Loudoun Literacy Council website, and we can put the link to in the comments once we post this, so that people will know where to go and to find, the instructions for doing the virtual games.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure. And Nikki, so going back a little bit more to you during this time, there's these words that sort of came up for me in the last month about a moment of savoring the deliciousness. And so I wondered if you could share one of those moments with us.
Yeah, I think for me, my moment was, my girls coming home. I think for me, it was being with my kids and them coming home and having them close was just such a comfort. It felt really good. And I think them being at home reminded me of something that, I don't do very well, but I've been, it's always been there for me. It's like my internal quote, like my internal thing that I keep needing to strive towards, which is, I was told many years ago, and I keep striving towards it, which is you need to slow down in order to go far. It's like, for someone like me who's always active, and I find purpose in being active constantly. My mind is always, I need to learn how to slow down in order to go far, in order to do more. We talk about compassion fatigue and things like that within the work that we do. And this is, it was really the girls coming home really brought it to me, because up until that, I was just, work. Oh my gosh, we've got to pivot this. Oh my gosh, we've got to get this out. We've got to keep everybody on staff. We can't, I CARES Act, this act, that, it's like how we, dealing with all of these different things. And my mind was just going, 24/7. And them coming home was just like one of those, they're home, they're home hugs. And that it reminded me, I need to slow down, take a couple of deep breaths, think about this. And I think it gave me more clarity in our work, not just for me in terms of my own health and well-being, but it gave me more clarity in our work in terms of, that what are you going to do now? What are you going to give up? That kind of prioritization.
Yeah.
That was very important for me. And I think for me that my girls coming home and that realization was, I think, my savoring moment.
I love that. And I think it's just hearing you say that as a reminder for myself. And I think sometimes, we all just need to continue to remind ourselves of these things. So the idea of slowing down, because I tend to be a person that moves at a pretty fast pace within, within, I'm a long time meditator. So you learn to be mindful and to take a breath and to live the present moment, all of that. But sometimes I do that in a fast pace. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm definitely more grounded, but it's a good reminder for myself to just stop and smell the roses, right?
Exactly. And I have to say, oh my gosh, when you did the meditation for our team, it was so nice. It was so nice because it helped all of us as a team. You came to that staff meeting and did a meditation.
Yeah.
It was just that moment where we could just sort of take a deep breath as a group, as a team, and it was just so helpful.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, all on Zoom, but that's what we're doing now, so it's
Zoom.
good.
All online.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, Nikki. So just as a last thing, I wondered if you could leave us with some words of wisdom.
I think just being kind to yourself, and the last bit I would probably say is I have tried my best to eliminate 3 words from my vocabulary: coulda, shoulda, woulda. And I think, could have done this, should have done this, would have done this. It's not happening. It's just not, it is what it is. And you do your best and you put your best forward. You think about yourself, you think about your loved ones, you think about your community and people you serve, and the rest is just, you just move forward with that love.
Yeah, I love that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And this is a powerful time for us all to love each other, to unite, and to strive towards living in peace. And thank you so much again, Nikki. I honor the light in you.
Gita, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Uno Souls Chat. You can find us at www.unosouls.com and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I would love to hear from you if you would like to chat with me. Have a beautiful week and see you at the next episode.